Yay, the kids are finally asleep.
So do you feel like...
Playing a game?
I've got a feeling a boss fight's coming up.
Ooh, I just got wrecked.
Headshot, baby.
Ooh, it's your turn to get the baby.
So are you up to the challenge?
Run, 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 run.
And we're dead.
That's when I realized I have no idea what I'm doing.
GG.
Welcome to the KJ After Dark Gamer Parents Podcast, where the kids are asleep and the parents can game. My name is Joanne, and I'm joined by my co-host, gamer partner in crime, and husband, Kevin. Kevin, want to say hi?
Hello, hello, hello. That was one hello for each of our listeners, by the way. Actually, we have a little bit more than that, but not too much more. So if you're listening, share with your friends. That would be greatly appreciated. If you are new here, thank you for tuning in. We are gamers. We love our kids. That makes us gamer parents. We love to play the games. We review and critique a new game every week, and that's what we talk about on our podcast, as well as other relatable things that we go through as parents and as gamers, with kids and with each other. We get into some pretty fun stuff. So that's kind of what you can look forward to. We'll have some more of that today.
Thanks, Kevin. And in case you missed our last episode, Kevin was out on a business trip last week and we didn't get to stream our game, which is Among Us, but we'll definitely be streaming this Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Central Time. Actually, we'll be streaming every Tuesday, so come check us out on YouTube, KJ After Dark. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a like or a comment. Thank you.
We really appreciate anything you guys can do to kind of help us out with that algorithm there on YouTube. I am really bummed we didn't get a stream this last week, just because the time before we had some technical difficulties and didn't really work out. I feel like we need that chance to redeem ourselves. So come check us out this Tuesday. Should be probably the day after you're listening, if you're listening to this the first day it's released. But anyway, it should be a lot of fun. Come hang out with Joanne and I live.
So even though Kevin and I are gamers, it's not just video games that we are into. We are also actually very heavy on board games and card games as well. We can't stream those, but especially when the power goes out, or, if there's internet problems, or even when we're out on a road trip or something, we could always play a card game too. Today, before we talk about the game of the week, which is Among Us, I thought I'll just share about this card game that we play a lot called Our Moments, the Couples Edition. It's a really cool game, especially if you are a gamer couple or even just a regular couple. It's a game where you could start conversations with the questions on the card, and it's so easy and so simple that you could play it at the dining table, you could play it during a road trip, or simply on your living room sofa in your pajamas or something.
We talk a lot on the podcast about bonding and playing games with your spouse and getting closer to your spouse by using games, and video games are great for that. But this is kind of one that we've found that in the same similar way you can use to get closer to your spouse or your loved one or whoever.
Yeah, so this is what we're going to do right now. I have the deck all shuffled, and we're just gonna give you a taste of how this game works.
So hopefully you'll get to entertain you a little bit, as well as hopefully learn a little bit more about Joanne and I. And at the same time, we'll probably learn a little bit about each other.
Yeah.
As we normally do when we play this game.
Yeah, and the questions on each card is really interesting. And I don't think we've even gone through the whole deck yet, because there's just so much to...
There's a lot in there.
Yeah.
And some of them, you could just pull out one card and talk about it for a good half an hour or something. So you can definitely take your time through all the cards. There's a lot in there. And if you find that you don't really talk to each other much, maybe you should try this out.
Exactly. So let's begin. So you could get to know us a bit better and have a flavor of this game called Our Moments, Couples Edition.
It's not a sponsored episode, by the way.
All right, Kevin, you get to get the first card.
Well, I could ask you first?
Yes, you got to ask me first.
Okay, first question for Joanne is, what did you learn a little too late?
What did I learn a little too late? I would say Motherhood. I mean, I used to babysit growing up, and I thought it would be easy, and I really didn't think that it would be this hard, you know.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody really knows that motherhood or parenting is hard until you actually get there. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
and
even if you learned it earlier, it still probably would be just as hard or probably even harder.
yeah, and every kid's different. So even if you have a child already and then you get a second child, it's not even like the same.
Every kid's different. I mean, every kid's difficult, I think, in their own ways. Some are probably more difficult than others, but yeah, no kid's easy.
Yeah, so I wish I knew that before like diving in, but I don't regret it. I love our kids. I'm just saying like I wish I knew it better, learn it earlier about it.
Okay. Do I answer the same question?
No, I'll give you a new question. I'm getting the next card. What are you most grateful for right now in this moment?
I am most grateful for my family, I'd have to say. I mean, that's kind of an easy one. Like, at this stage in life, if you asked me this like 10 years ago, it'd probably be a completely different answer.
Fair enough.
But I mean, somewhat recently married, two little kids, kind of deep into my career and some other things, but like it's all like centralized around family and the stage that we're in. It's kind of like a driving factor in a lot of the things that I'm doing and the decisions that we're making as a family. It's really the kind
True.
of the thing that we're both, I'm sure, grateful for.
Yeah, I agree with you. If you ask me that, that would totally be my answer too. Not trying to be cheesy, but it's true.
It's okay. You can copy my answer. It's fine. I'm used to it. Okay. I have the next question for Joanne. Would you rather have an extra $500 a month or an extra 2 hours a day?
Oh my gosh, that question is so easy. Definitely, definitely 2 hours more a day. I mean, 24 hours never seem enough. 2 hours more? That means we could game 2 hours more.
Did you rig these cards? Seems like you're getting all the easy ones. But yeah, I agree with you there. An extra 2 hours a day, that really adds up. I mean, $500 a month, that's a lot, but 2 hours every day? Can you just imagine like getting 2 more hours of sleep? I guess that's another question. If you had an extra 2 hours a day, what would you do with those 2 hours? Would you sleep? Would you, I don't know, go out and party? Would you play games? Like, what would you do with those 2 extra hours a day? I honestly, I'd probably sleep at least one of those, maybe 2.
I don't believe you. I think you're gonna be gaming like me. I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
it'd be probably one of those 2 things.
Yeah, definitely. Depending on how our day went too, you know, like if the kids are harder during the day, then we probably need more sleep. Yeah, vice versa. All right. Now my turn to ask you. What 5 things do you enjoy doing with me?
5 things. Well, first of all, we are married and have 2 kids, so there's one thing. But I won't go into more detail into that.
Yeah, we're trying to keep it
Otherwise,
PG here.
Obviously, we like to play games together. I think that's a lot of fun.
Yes.
It kind of adds a lot of, I guess, flavor to our interactions because we just end up laughing about a lot of stuff or just kind of messing with each other based on how one of us are playing or or if we're getting in each other's way or messing up or something, it just becomes a whole laughable situation. It's kind of like watching like a funny movie or something with someone that you like and you have those things to like laugh and joke about later on down the road too.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes back up again. So so gaming would be another one. Listening to music, I've always really liked sharing music with people and getting to share that like music with you that I like. Be like, hey, I really like this song. Listen to it. What do you think? And when I like deliver you a song that you like, that's something that I really like doing. Listening to our shared interest in music together.
Yeah, I'm so glad we both love music.
Yeah, so that's 3.
Mm-hmm.
Is going on vacations together. Not that we really do a lot of it, and maybe that's why I like it more now. I mean, it could be just because we don't do on vacations very often at all. Maybe like once a year if we're lucky. But just being able to go out with the wife and kids and be away from work and the busyness of our days, and then just get to like spend time together.
Yeah, especially since COVID, it's not like we get to travel as freely as we could,
Yeah, that's true also. So maybe that's why I kind of enjoy it more now than before. And then I have one more. Oh, and for a fifth one, I'd have to say exploring new food with you.
Oh, yeah.
So another thing you
Foodies.
probably don't know about Joanne, she's like very experimental when it comes to new foods and trying new things and
Oh, yeah.
kinds of food she's never tried before. And especially being from Malaysia, she has a lot more variety in the food that she's had before compared to me, and kind of vice versa. I think we both introduced each other to a lot of different kinds of food. Plus, being in a city that has a huge variety of different kinds of food, you can pretty much get a decent cook of whatever kind of meal you want here. There's a lot of options, and basically from all around the world, you can get good food here.
Yep. Go Texas. All right. You get to ask me a hard question next.
Hey, finally, it's way better to ask questions. Okay, so Joanne, what's your most embarrassing memory from junior high?
Oh my gosh. Wait, let me think. Okay, so junior high is probably like the time where you hit puberty, I guess. Maybe
Yeah.
not. So Kevin had mentioned earlier about our shared interest in music, and I did join a singing competition back in junior high, but because I was kind of like hitting puberty or something, I don't know, my voice was like, just up and down, or breaking. So when I sang on stage in front of the whole school for that singing competition, so the song was actually My Heart Will Go On. Anyways, I sang it on stage and my voice kind of broke a lot of times at the high part. I think it's at the chorus towards the end of the song. And then since then, everyone in school kind of like knew who I was. And when I'm walking through the hallways of the school, people just go, ew, ew, just trying to imitate my voice breaking on the stage. It was so embarrassing. I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh wow.
I know, that was so embarrassing. I still like laugh every time I think of it. But I did redeem myself the following year when my voice has been fully developed, I would say. And I joined the singing competition again and I got second place. Woohoo!
Wow, there you go. Bringing it
But yeah,
back.
that was the most embarrassing moment in junior high for me.
I actually have a moment. It was also music related. I guess probably not that embarrassing, but still pretty embarrassing. That's pretty bad. I can't beat that. I'll go out and say that right now. But when I was in junior high, I believe it was like some kind of like, I don't know, star testing or whatever. Like the whole school takes a full day to basically do testing, and I had finished early, so I was listening to music like on my first generation iPod. How long ago it was, and I was listening to a Green Day song because I was done, just kind of patiently waiting for everybody else. Boulevard of Broken Dreams, I think it was.
Nice.
And I don't forget how it goes now, but I was like really into music. I still kind of am, but back then too. And then the guy next to me like kind of nudges me with his elbow, and then I take out my earbud or whatever, and he says, "Dude, you're singing." I didn't realize like I was like kind of like quietly like singing or humming, or I don't know. I didn't really hear myself, so I don't know exactly what I did or what I was sounding like. But I looked up and everybody was looking at me, so apparently I was like humming or singing a little bit under my breath or something without really realizing it. I don't know. So that was a pretty embarrassing moment for me in junior high.
That's cute. So how many questions have you asked so far? How many cards?
3.
All right, and then this is my last one for you then.
Okay.
Okay. You got, what was the most agonizing hour of your life?
Most agonizing hour of my life?
Yeah, mine would be labor pains, obviously, but
Yeah.
tell me what
I
yours
feel
is.
like if you've given birth before, that's a pretty easy answer. Most agonizing hour? I mean, like honestly, I've never broken a bone or like had any kind of serious injury. Thank goodness. So nothing really comes to mind for this one.
We can't disappoint the listeners, Kevin. You have to answer the third
I
question.
think maybe like sitting through like a country concert, maybe.
Ooh, that is actually agonizing. I
If
feel you
if
because
you
I'm
like
not a country song person. We're both into alternative rock music, FYI. So
I was definitely exaggerating a little bit, but I have gone through a couple of country
yeah,
concerts.
yeah, I feel you there. I would say that's pretty agonizing. All right, good. So I don't have to give you a fourth question. So, anyways, that was like how, how the card game goes. And, you could just go through the whole deck, which we won tonight for obvious reasons because
We
it's
don't want
more,
this to
yeah.
be a 10-hour episode.
Yeah, I know. This is more like for you to get to know us better, like what we like about music and as well as our embarrassing moments and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely perfect, don't you think, for a couple to get to know each other better and
Yeah, honestly, if you feel like the communication in your relationship is lacking at all, maybe check out something like this. It doesn't have to be the same thing, but just something to get you guys like talking. And there's no like winner or losers in this kind of game, right? Like that's just something I don't know about. But yeah, it's just cards, and they're basically like conversation starters. So if that's where you feel like you maybe need some help, maybe pick a card a day or even a week, and just talk to each other about whatever the topic is. It's usually going to end in kind of funny, right? Especially like the junior high memory. Like you probably learned something you didn't know about each other by some like old story that they dig up that otherwise maybe wouldn't have shared that. So definitely can be a fun experience.
Yep. Well, let's continue to talk about our game of the week, Among Us.
Yeah, so this last few weeks we've been playing quite a bit of Among Us, and we wanted to make that the game that we review this week. Like we had mentioned, we were supposed to stream it earlier in the week, but that didn't happen, so there's no stream video for it. But we did get a lot of time in playing it, so we still feel like we can do a pretty solid review and critique of it. So we'll generally start by kind of explaining how the game works for anyone who's never played it or seen it or has any idea what it is. But it is called Among Us. It is an online game for up to 15 players at a time. Currently, there's 4 maps to pick from, and we'll kind of get into that. So I guess you pick your map, you join a lobby, you enter in with up to 15 people, and the game will automatically pick who is going to be the imposter. And there could be 1, 2, or 3 imposters depending on the setting for the game that you join. So, but you'll know ahead of time how many there's going to be. And then so people will randomly be chosen to be the imposter, and everybody else is crewmates. They do also have other roles in the game, so that crewmates can also be like an engineer, scientist, or what else? I guess there's like guardian angel, but that's only after you die.
Yeah.
And then the imposter can also be a shapeshifter if that setting is turned on. We'll kind of explain a little bit of those later, but essentially if you are the crewmate, you're given like a bunch of tasks to do around the ship, and there's a map, so you just like go to where they are on the map and you complete the task, like I don't know, fixing wires or filling up gas tanks,
Emptying the trash or
like picking up towels or taking a shower. Or
I know,
whatever.
taking a shower is also a task. I can't believe that. That's so cute.
Most of the tasks are fairly simple. Some of them are kind of hard and annoying, but for the most part, you go up, you do your task, which takes a few seconds, and then you kind of move on to the next task. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, there is at least one imposter out there, and the imposter's mission is to try and kill off as many of the crewmates as they can without getting caught.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a cooldown, like, so how they can only kill somebody every so often, but you don't know who the imposter is. They don't look any different. The only way you can really tell is if you see them kill somebody, or if you see them shapeshift, which really that just lets them turn into somebody else or get somebody else's appearance.
Yeah.
So you see them actually going through that process. So that's one way you could kind of catch somebody. So you really have to have your eyes peeled all the time, which can be hard while you're doing tasks. Another thing, if you don't necessarily want to be alone with somebody that you don't trust either, because they might kill you while no one else is looking. Yeah. It's usually safer if you can like travel in a group of 3 or something like that, just to make sure that if somebody does try to kill you, at least there's another person around to be a witness.
Mm-hmm. Unless there's 2 imposters, and
if there's 2 imposters, then you really never know. Usually we play with just one, I think it kind of makes the game simpler and easier as a crewmate, definitely.
But it is a game of teamwork and betrayal. So trust. Do you really want to trust anyone? But you have to if you want to work as a team, because then there will be like
sabotages. That's something that the imposter can do to kind of slow down the crewmates. They kind of have to jump on to fixing the sabotage before they can kind of get back to their tasks. Like either turns off all the lights so the crewmates can't really see anything, or disrupts communication so they can't really see where their tasks are on the map. That kind of messes people up. Or what else? I think it depends on the map too. Like the sabotages are different. So we're kind of speaking on one particular map that we've been playing. And each room of the map has its own name that you can see on the map, which is really important. So if somebody ever finds a body, they report the body, and then that brings everybody into a meeting where everybody can then talk. Because you can't really like chat or use the in-game messaging system unless you're in a meeting.
Yeah.
So once the meeting begins, everybody starts throwing out what they saw. If they saw somebody kill somebody else, then that's where they blurt it out and try to get everybody to vote for that person. And essentially, whoever gets the most votes gets ejected out of the spaceship.
Exactly.
Yeah, and usually it'll tell you if they were an imposter or not. Another thing, like people love to, like, say self-report. So like if you report a body, they're basically accusing you of killing them and then self-reporting. So that's something that like now I'm like more careful about even reporting a body, because people think that's suspicious for some reason. And that's even gotten me voted off like the first round before for what feels like little to no reason.
It's really like a game of strategy with words as well, because you want to sound, if you're the imposter, you want to sound like you're innocent and not making people suspicious about you by being too innocent with your words. Like some people go in and like, oh, I don't know what a shapeshifter is. Now that's suspicious, because literally
I guess just everybody knows that the term shapeshifter, someone who can like change their appearance, like what's the gal from X-Men,
Mystique, my favorite. But yeah, and if you're a crewmate, you don't want to sound suspicious, but like just, I don't know, like there's a strategy in words, and I feel like sometimes it's more about playing the game is more like just seeing how you could influence somebody, like influence other people to vote off a person or to stay safe as an imposter. Everything is a game of strategy, don't you think?
Yeah, this is a game where you have to interact with people, and you have to communicate with people in order to like really even play the game. Like you have to see what other people are saying. You have to kind of share what you're seeing or thinking, and that kind of contributes to the overall funness of the game. So like you kind of keep that in mind. If you like to just go into a game and just do your own objectives and kind of ignore everybody else, you can't, because that kind of defeats the whole purpose of the game. Like you have to be watchful of what other people are doing or saying. You also need to keep in mind that if you are the imposter, you can't really just be truthful about that. Like you have to say what you need to say in order to survive. Sometimes that includes little white lies as far as where you were or maybe weren't on the map. Maybe if somebody asks if you killed them, you're not going to say, oh yes, that was me. No matter how honest you are, you don't want to do that. You want to try to shift the focus or attention on other people, maybe make them think, oh, somebody else, without making you seem shady at the same time. So you don't want to like point your finger at everybody, because that's going to kind of be suspicious also. If you're trying to get everybody else voted off, especially if you don't have a good reason. If you have a really good reason, sure, go for it. You can get a crewmate voted off, and then there's one less crewmate that you have to kill. So ultimately, you're trying to be the last person alive.
Yeah, and I did like try once to like just say, like call the bluff, and I was the imposter, and I actually like said I'm the killer, and yet I didn't get thrown off or voted off, because it was like, she's just bluffing. Or
if somebody comes out at the very beginning and says, oh, I'm the imposter, you're going to be like, okay, sure, yeah, whatever, lady.
I know. What do you call it?
Reverse psychology.
Psychology.
I guess, see, that's, sure, there you go. There's one strategy. I've never done that. I don't know if that
it doesn't work all the time, but...
Usually when someone starts off with like that, you can't really take them seriously, so... maybe until someone realizes, hey, maybe it is her.
Yeah, by the end, it's too late.
There you go. See, there's a strategy. I haven't tried that one, but that may be a good one. I don't know if it works.
Yeah.
See. Another thing, if you are like ever playing this game with somebody that you know, make sure that you can't see each other's screens. Like if you're playing, like Joanne and I, we play in one room and we barely can't see each other's screens.
I know, but
which is a good thing.
sometimes-
Yeah, because you don't want to like accidentally look and see. You can tell from their screen if they're the imposter or
I
not.
know.
So that would kind of ruin it, because all of a sudden, if you're a crewmate and you know who the imposter is, like without actually playing the game to figure that out, it kind of ruins the whole
Yeah,
fun and
it does
experience.
ruin the fun, to be
Because
honest.
then you know it's her, and like you don't have to like, you're not working to figure it out anymore because you already know.
Because the figuring out is the best part. The figuring out or the acting, it's just the best part.
Yeah, you have to like piece together the information. Like, oh, if I see Joanne's walking around with Orange, and then a minute later Orange is dead, okay, I'm a little suspicious of Joanne, unless maybe she can clear herself a different way or something like that. So yeah, I mean, but if I knew she was the imposter all along, then that's not really fun anymore. It's kind of ruined. So
Yep.
to keep that in mind. So that's like as far as if you see each other's screens, but also, and kind of for the same reason, like keep communication like during the game, like to the point where, well, what only things you would say like to the larger group, right? So like if I'm the imposter, for the same reason, I don't want to tell her that I'm the imposter, because that's just going to kind of ruin the game for her.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
and another strategy in the game is to like group together. I know like it's not the best because it's bad for the imposters. But then I saw like while we were playing that some people decide to like group together while playing.
Yeah, so like if you like are grouped with somebody for a round and you're with them the entire round, and you guys come across a body, you know that person didn't kill that, they didn't take the kill, so you can kind of mark that person as safe. And if you try and stick to that person each round, kind of like a buddy system thing, then you know, like,
Oh, yeah.
no one's probably going to try and kill you when there's a witness around. Sometimes they
Exactly.
do,
Buddy
but
system.
yeah, usually
But-
not so smart.
But there's a risk to that because you don't know who you're buddying with. Because I did buddy with Kevin once, and it turns out he was the imposter, and he killed me last. So but I
Yeah,
don't
just
know.
lead them to like the deepest, darkest corner of the map where no one's ever gonna find you, and then that's where you
Exactly. And
take
then
them
you
out.
go, I trusted you, Kevin.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun playing with your spouse too, because there's often you'll be surprised by either they'll be the imposter when they're not, or maybe you think they're the imposter and they turns out that they're actually not.
I know.
Or things like that, and like you get to see them.
In the darker side of them.
You get to see them act. It's kind of like acting, right? Because
Yeah.
like you're the imposter, and you have to kind of, and it's not just through the in-game system, since you're like right next to me. You have to like be saying things like, "Oh, I think this person's the imposter. He was doing this," or "Oh, I'm going to try and do my tasks over here." Like even though you're not doing tasks because you're the imposter, but you're
Ooh.
trying to make me think that you are.
Yeah.
And it's like a bunch of mind games. Like even here, sitting next to each other.
Exactly. In the beginning, like before Kevin figured that out, it was pretty obvious when he was the imposter, he would like be absolutely quiet for no reason. Like he's usually like talking like, oh, I'm doing this task now, I'm doing that task. And then suddenly he's like all quiet, and I was like, huh, that's weird. Kevin's not saying anything. He might be the imposter. So it's a lot of
You have to like,
mind
yeah, like
game
it's like very like
outside of the-
subtle cues that you have to pick up on. Like I even noticed for myself, like when we first would start a new map and have like new tasks, I would complain about like the tasks I didn't like, and then I realized when I was the imposter, since I wasn't doing tasks, I wasn't just complaining about the tasks all the whole
Yeah.
time. I realized that I either needed to stop complaining about tasks that I don't like, or complain about them even when I'm the imposter. Because otherwise, they're like, he's not talking about his tasks. Oh, it's because he's the imposter and he's not even doing tasks.
Yeah.
So I would just like get really quiet when I'm the imposter. So like it was more obvious to them.
Exactly. That's the tips for gamer couples who are playing this game together in the same room.
Yeah, honestly, it helps you read your partner better. It definitely
is.
like you get to like paint your partner in like a different light.
Yeah, and it's not that stressful of a game like Overcooked was. If you missed our episode last week, we spoke about Overcooked 2, and we found out that we can cook in game.
Yeah, it's not. Well, Overcooked is like super fast paced because literally from the moment you enter the game, the timer is going down. Like this one's a lot different.
Yeah, pretty chill and just more on acting and in game and in real life, since for gamer couples.
And another thing I would say is sometimes we'll see people who are like obviously playing the game together and they know each other, and one's the imposter and one's the crewmate, and they're just going around together killing other people, and like not the crewmate's not ratting out the imposter.
I know.
Or they're kind of like ruining the game. So like there's a lot of ways you could like, or if there's a two imposter thing, you could tell the people who the other imposter is, or that kind of thing. Like you kind of ruin it for people. So there's a lot of ways like you could kind of cheat or like mess up the game.
Yeah,
So
don't cheat.
Don't do that. Play
Don't
the
do that.
game the way it should be played. It's a lot more fun for everybody, including yourself.
Yeah. Even if you love each other and stuff, like in game, just keep it.
Yeah, I don't care if I love Joanne, if she's my partner for life. Yeah. If I'm the imposter, she's going down.
Exactly.
That's just all there is to it.
And the same as me too. Yeah, I'll kill you, Kevin, in game as a imposter.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay, I'm afraid of right now. I'm sitting on the couch. There's also a lot of like cosmetic stuff you can buy, like with in-game currency, and through microtransactions or whatever, to change your look. There's different like costumes and outfits and whatever that you can get, different pets. There's a lot of things you can do to like change the way you look. Plus, every match you can choose what color you want to be, something that goes with whatever your rest of your outfit is. I know Joanne really likes kind of dressing up her character to look a different way every single match. So there's a lot of customization you can do around that. It's kind of neat. So we kind of explained the game and how it works for the most part. I guess one last thing that I would say, once you learn the map, so you have to put a little bit of effort into studying the map. And so we just kind of picked one, and that's the one that we've been playing from the start. And now that we know how the map is laid out, it makes it a lot easier. Because if somebody finds a body in, electrical, then we know that medical and security are nearby. So if we saw somebody in medical coming from electrical, then we know, hey, maybe they are the imposter. Maybe they killed somebody while they were moving through there. So it's important to know like where places of the map are. So I would suggest, if you ever try it, just kind of sticking with the same map until you actually know where things are, and then it actually makes it a lot more fun to play the game because you can piece things together a lot easier. I wouldn't suggest like switching to a different map every time unless you really know all the maps, and sure. Yeah. Or you really get bored of one, maybe because you played it so much or you know it so well and you want to learn a new map, then go ahead. But it's kind of a pain learning a new map because someone will say, "Oh, the body was here," and you're like, "I don't really know where that is." Yeah. Also, the tasks are different, or a lot of the tasks are different on the various maps, and some of them can be a little bit tricky to figure out. Like I said, I complained about some of the harder ones, so yeah, some of them are kind of annoying to do, especially if you don't know how to do them. So new map also means new tasks, so that's just something to keep in mind. Yeah, so we kind of explained the game. We also wanted to go through what we like and what we don't like. So as far as what I like about Among Us, I would say I really like how every game feels completely different from the last, just because the feel of the game depends on who you're playing it with. And since you're usually playing with different people, every game or every few games, like it makes the whole experience feel different because people behave differently. And all of a sudden you're trying to figure out a completely different set of people. So even though the map is the same, a lot of the stuff you're doing is the same, the people that you're trying to read and figure out is different every time. It's almost like playing poker, right? Like you play poker with somebody long enough, you kind of figure out their tells or like the way they play. And then you play against a new person, and it's like, okay, now you have a new person to like try to figure out like how they act as an imposter, that kind of thing. So plus every game, the new person is the imposter generally. So kind of a new person you're trying to figure out or unmask. So I kind of like how every game feels a little bit different than the last, which also kind of makes it really replayable. So that's probably what I like about it most. What about you, Joanne? What do you like about the game?
For me, I like how simple the game is. I mean, like it's two-dimensional, I would say. Very like straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to play. Yeah, the game itself is super simple, but like the strategy around like figuring out who the imposter is or keeping your identity as the imposter hidden is so psychological and so like deep, I think, at times when you're trying to throw people off your trail. Like that's the confusing and like complex part of the game. It's how you interact with the other players. It's not the game itself.
I mean, everything looks like almost hand drawn, you know, how cute it is, how simple the design and graphics are. But
yeah, it's honestly it's unlike probably any other game that I've played before, as far as the level that it's at, as far as like the mind games of it. Like a lot of times, some might be like mind games, like you're figuring something out, like you versus the game, but never like you versus the other players, like the way that this game has it. So that's kind of got me hooked a little bit. I felt like I've never played a game quite like this.
Yeah, so that's what I like about it, and maybe I'll start on what I dislike about it.
Sure, go ahead.
I did say that the game is simple, graphics and stuff, and so cute and whatnot. But what I dislike about it is it's kind of buggy. I mean, like I feel like there are some bugs that need to be fixed for the game because it's not only for me. I noticed like a lot of people their game crash halfway, and then they just like you're playing a game and then you get kicked out because your game crashed.
Yeah, we see a lot of stuff like that, and with other people, we don't know if their game's crashing or if they just leave the game. A lot of people leave the game like right after it starts, but that could be because they weren't the imposter and they wanted to be or something like that.
Or they're waiting for a friend. Who knows?
Yeah, we don't really know. But I mean, I've had it crash on me a lot.
A lot. Like it was so frustrating.
Yeah, we've had some other people that we play with have it crash on them quite a bit too. So I think it's kind of a thing that's affecting a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So that seems to be happening a lot. Or like, this one's not as common, but sometimes people will get like stuck going up or down a ladder.
Yeah, I got that. That happened to me once.
And you can't move, so you're just stuck there all around. It's kind of a good thing because then if somebody sees you, then they know like you're innocent. You're not going around. You're not the one going around killing people if you're stuck on a ladder all day. So, but again, it shouldn't be happening, and it's kind of buggy. Yeah. Or there's times where like your action buttons just like won't work. So like if you're the imposter, you can't kill somebody or sabotage. Like those buttons just like aren't working for some reason. So don't really know how to fix it, but just stuff that's like kind of makes the game not as fun. That's definitely a good one to not be, or a good reason not to like the game.
Yeah, what about you? What do you dislike about it?
I feel like it would be better. I mean, I wouldn't say I necessarily dislike it, but I think it's something that they could really improve on. Is if there were something like that you would be rewarded with, like after each game, that could kind of feel like you're progressing some. Really, the only thing that you get now is you get these like beans or whatever they are that you can use to unlock like more cosmetic stuff, and they have a lot of different options as far as the cosmetics. But I feel like there's nothing really else. Like if you win a game or do well at a game, like it doesn't really feel like you're progressing at all. Other than okay, you have like one more hat you can wear or something like that, or like you gain levels, but they doesn't seem to do anything, right? Like you're gaining levels and it shows up next to your name. It just shows like how long you've been playing the game. It doesn't really do anything else. So I feel like it would, if it was a way to like reward you more like for playing or for winning or something like that would be I think that would make it a better game.
Oh, speaking of which, when you say that, I actually dislike that they show the levels on our characters too.
Yeah, I mean,
especially when you're an imposter and everyone else is like
well, I think if you have like a high level, then people assume that you're better at the game. Like if they don't know who the imposter is, like, oh, maybe it's because the imposter is really good. It's probably this person who's a high level. So I think you say that because you're a higher level than me, and maybe that's come back to hurt you in that way. Like, for example, if we notice the imposter is not using any sabotages and there's like a level 1 person in the game, maybe it's because the level 1 person doesn't know how to use the sabotage. So a high level person would definitely know how to sabotage, and they'd be doing that all the time. Yeah, the level is kind of just more information. I guess the question is whether that's good information or not.
Yeah. So we move on to the ratings.
So we have the categories of convenience, communication, story, repeatability, and fun. We're going to rate each category from 1 to 10. Okay, so for convenience, I'm giving this game a 7, and that's because it's more convenient than most games. It's pretty quick to start up a game, just join a lobby that's almost full, and off you go. It doesn't really take long to load or anything like that. The games themselves don't last too long. I mean, some of them can be over in minutes, and then some of them can take, what, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes, maybe? I guess technically it could take longer if people just aren't doing tasks and the imposter's not really doing any killing. So the games aren't too long, but not really that short either, at least on average. At least the other thing to point out though, if you do leave a game or have to get up and go check on a kid or something like that, it's not like too detrimental or there's no negative to leaving a game early other than you just don't get to you don't get to play out the rest of the game. So I'm kind of giving it a 7. A little bit more convenient than most, but not super convenient. What about you, Joanne? What do you think on the convenience here?
I gave it a 10. Well, only because it's playable on Xbox, on computer, on your phone. Yeah, I've known a few friends who play Among Us on their phones, and I thought that's pretty cool because if you have like a train ride or somewhere or being on a plane, and it being so simple, I'm pretty sure you could play it wherever, whenever.
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't think about. I forgot this game's also on mobile, but we have not tried playing it on the phone yet. So I don't know. And I don't know how fun it would be on the phone versus on PC or Xbox, but definitely if you're a mobile gamer and you like this game, maybe you should get it on your phone. But I guess that's another way it could be kind of convenient. So the next category on communication, I'm giving this one a 10. And that's because you like I said, you have to communicate to play this game.
Yep.
You can't. It's not one you just hop into and play by yourself. You have to talk with other people, and that includes your partner. So if you're playing this with somebody, you kind of have to communicate with them. And at the same time, you're trying to figure out if they're lying or not, which is fun, but that also creates like even more communication as you're trying to get information out of them or trying to pick up on little cues or hints that they may be leaving without realizing it. But anyways, communication is such a huge part of the game.
It is.
I couldn't not give it a good high score. So that's why I'm giving it a 10.
Yep, I'm with you there. I'm actually giving it a 10 too because in a gamer couple perspective, you not only communicate with each other during the game, you also kind of see how you communicate through body language. And like I said earlier, if your partner is suddenly acting different, like how Kevin suddenly get all quiet, So there's a lot of like psychological aspect to the communication as well that you could learn from your partner. And apart from that, I think this game is so addictive that you talk more about the game even after you play it, like sharing your experiences during the game about how you got killed, how you kill. It's a great game to break the ice, definitely. Not that there's any ice, but it's a great conversation starter.
Oh yeah, right on. The next category of story, I am giving the story rating an 8. And yeah, I know, it's pretty high. So this game doesn't have like a campaign or like a storyline per se.
Exactly.
But I'm giving it a good story rating because the players are like kind of making their own story. And I kind of relate this game to like a suspenseful thriller, or like a suspense novel or a really good show or movie that keeps you on the edge of your seat, because each game you're trying to figure out who the imposter is, and it seems like more often than not you're wrong by who you're suspecting, and the real imposter comes up and kills you and when you're least expecting it, and it's not the person you thought it was, and it leaves you with this like, what moment of like, it was this person? I could have sworn it was somebody else.
I know.
Right? And so like it's and to me that's like the story part of it, because you're like trying to figure out who it was all along. So like every game is like a different story to me, and you eventually kind of get to the final page and see who the bad guy was. But it's kind of like I view like that as the story and not necessarily like a campaign or a story that the developers wrote into the game. I feel like the story the players create themselves with what they do and what they say. It's kind of like a murder mystery.
Oh yeah, it is like that murder mystery.
It's totally
game.
it's basically a murder mystery movie or
game.
book that's come to life as a video game.
That is, yeah, that's true. Isn't there a board game like that too? A murder mystery board
Maybe
game?
like Clue.
Yeah,
kind
Clue.
of?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you want to compare it to a board game, Clue's probably pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
But what about you, Joanne? What did you give it on the story?
I couldn't argue with you there when you put it in that perspective, but for my perspective, the story for me, it's 1. I gave it a 1 because it's more about like, I was looking at it from the developer's point of view. You know, it's more like you being on a spaceship and just trying to figure out who's killing who off. And that's pretty much like the same every time. But I didn't think of it the way you did. So yeah, from the developer's perspective, I would say it's a 1. But from your perspective, you're definitely right about your 8.
Yeah, that's true. I think the story way I'm looking at it in this case is very kind of different, or maybe not the natural story, but I guess it depends on how you look at it. The next category of repeatability, I feel like this game is really repeatable. I'm giving it a 9, and that's because every game feels like it's completely different. Feels like it's another murder mystery every game. You don't know who the new imposter is going to be, or how they're going to catch you, or you're going to catch them, or that kind of thing. Even though, like I said, it's on the same map, every game feels different. I feel like you can repeat this game over and over again, and at least we haven't gotten bored of it yet. And I could definitely see it as a game we kind of come back to, especially as they add new stuff. Like I know they added the different roles like engineer and scientist and shapeshifter and that stuff. That wasn't in there at the beginning, so they've added some stuff. I hope they continue to do that, or add those kinds of things into the game just to kind of draw people back in and kind of mix it up a little bit. So make it feel like we're not repeating it all over again. But even without that stuff, I could see playing this game for quite a bit longer. Definitely not bored of it yet.
That's true. I mean, it's pretty addictive, don't you think?
Yeah, what did you give it on repeatability?
I actually gave it a 9.
Okay, so we agreed on something. That's good.
I know. That's why I was surprised. But yeah, I have exactly, you said the words right out of my mouth right there. So we can move on.
Cool. Yeah. Next and last category is fun, which is kind of a general how much we enjoy the game. And I don't think it's the best game in the world, but I do think it's better than most, and I'm definitely enjoying it. I'm giving it a fun rating of 8.
Oh my gosh! So me too.
You too?
Yeah. 8.
I mean, yeah, I think it's 8's a good number. It's also my favorite number, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But yeah, I mean, there's other games out there that are more fun, but this is a lot of fun to play, especially with somebody that you know, because then it's like you can share like your reaction like of the result of the game like with each other, right? Because like oftentimes there's like this aha moment, and like that's usually like the entertaining part is like finding out that you were wrong or right all along. And getting to share that with the people that you're playing with that you actually know, like your spouse or partner. So I don't know. That's why I think that's one reason why I think it's fun, along with everything else we've already been talking about. So yeah, fun of 8. I think, Joanne, you said you also gave it an 8.
Yep, with the exact reasons that you just gave, because it's really simple, it's really fun, it's really addictive, and it's really different with who you're playing it with.
So what was your overall score out of all categories?
38. How about you?
Mine was a 42, so I think that means I liked it a little bit more. I don't know. I don't think all the categories are weighted the same.
Yeah, especially because the story part, we both have a different perspective on that. I think that's where we kind of like...
Yeah, and...
but it's pretty close, 38 and 42.
Yeah, it was more than Overcooked. And I like both games. It's hard.
Yeah.
I think Among Us is a little bit more fun for me, although Overcooked is pretty fun too. I want to try Overcooked with more than 2 people and see if that changed at all. I feel like that would be a lot more fun too. But anyways, both good games. That was our review of Among Us. Hope you guys enjoyed that. We'll be sure to check us out on check out our Discord, check out our Instagram, like Joanne said, at
KJ_after_dark.
Thank you. Or check out our YouTube channel. We have videos on there. Make sure to tune in for our stream on Tuesday at 9:30 Central Time. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode.
And if you guys have any suggestions or requests on what games you would like us to review or try out as a couple, feel free to write it in our Discord or message us on on our Instagram, or even leave a comment on YouTube.
Yeah, get us that information somehow. We will see it and we will reply. We will see what we can do to try any of your recommendations. We'll give it a good week or two of playing, and then we'll kind of come up with our own review of it if you have any requests. So definitely be sure to let us know. Again, thanks everyone for listening. That's all we got for you guys this week. Looking forward to talking to you next week.